You're seeing people prompt SaaS products with one line, but is it really as easy as that? And can it make you money? I've spent nearly a decade in AI, building it, breaking it, and seeing what actually works. And I'll be calling BS on the bad advice.
And I'll be keeping it human as we go up in the AI.
I'm James.
I'm Tanya, and welcome to Up in the AI.
Vibe coding is a topic that's so close to my heart. So, Tanya, what do you know about it? Let's start there.
Cool. Yeah. So what I know is that no longer do you have to actually know how to write code and write lines and lines of code to create. You now can use just voice to text or write a sentence, and AI will then create what you've asked it to create, basically. That's what
That's
I'm,
what
and it,
they say.
they say, right? So I've seen the like the snippets of video where like they like create a game in ChatGPT, like Tetris or something like that.
Mm,
Or someone's like creating like a dynamic kind of quiz type form or something, which I
yeah.
actually thought was quite cool. It
Mm,
seemed really simple, but that's kind of where it ends. Like how to build apps, how to build SaaS products. That's not my area. So I'm cool. I'm really keen to learn about this too.
have you played with it?
I have not. And it's annoying because it's the kind of thing that I think I would love. I would love. I think we have talked about websites and how like I met for like way before this, I used to
Mm.
think maybe I should get into designing websites because when I came across someone who had a Duff website, I think, oh, I could do so much better for that. But now I hear that this is also something that can make, be way more efficient in creating websites. So I think I would love to do this actually, but I haven't.
All right, let's quickly jump in with how somebody like you who's got no experience could actually get started. So I think for me, everyone's got their platform of preference, like everything with AI. If I was you, I would jump straight into Lovable
Mm,
and I'd play around with a few prompts. Now, I actually created a GPT for this, and we can link it somewhere, or it's in our school community, Make Money with AI,
mhm,
where it'll help you devise a one-shot prompt. This was initially created because Lovable costed you, its whole payment mechanism was on the amount of questions you asked. So it made a lot of sense at that point that you would cram as much knowledge into that first prompt as you could,
mhm,
because that would be cheaper. Now they've changed it to a usage model, so it isn't quite as pertinent, but it still saves you money because the GBT is designed to ask you critical questions,
mm.
and then it will spit out something that is perfect for Lovable. So go to the GBT, tell it what you want to build, it'll spit out a prompt, chuck that into Lovable, see what happens. That's kind
Okay.
of like how you get started. Now,
What can you make in Lovable though?
you can make websites or front ends for SaaS applications. You
Hmm.
can make full SaaS applications because it's built in with Superbase, which is a database.
Hmm.
And so that's where you could hold like your user information, product information. But I think the big misconception here with most of these AI tools is that they can go fully functional software. Lovable, Replit, you can, but the deeper you want the functionality to be, the more limited these platforms are.
Hmm.
Now, the way that people are doing it, like myself, is I'm creating a front end prototype in Lovable. I might even hook up it into Superbase, but then I'm chucking it up into GitHub and then pulling it down into my local computer so I can use Cursor and Claude Code.
Hmm.
Then I can actually have Claude Code design full backend systems. But there's a massive caveat here. AI, if you don't know what you're doing, tends to create horrible bloated code that's unusable. Like, for instance, I don't know whether you've seen it with anything that somebody showed you, but like you'll open a page and then you'll go to another page and it's like the menu is slightly different or the footer is slightly different. And that's because people don't understand the principles of coding where you need global elements and so on. Now, I don't want to go too technical. I think maybe I've even gone too technical.
I have a question just on that
Yeah.
because when I was watching tutorial videos or like the introduction of AI
Yeah.
vibe coding, sorry, like one of the things that stood out to me is that, and people who are like coders, developers who are now
Yeah.
using this, they said you don't actually even have to go and look at the code. You literally just say like, this is what it's created. This is what I don't like, or this doesn't work. And you would tell it to fix it. So is that the reality, or are you actually still going in and reading through code or looking through code? Because then that
Real
doesn't seem like it's easy to me at all.
You've got two types of people doing this. You've got
Mhm.
people, or maybe let's say three types. You got the
Okay.
people that know nothing and they're just winging it, and sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not. Some you go down rabbit holes and they don't really know what to do. Then you've got people like me that know about product, know about AI, so they know how to properly prompt the whole situation. Then you've got developers. Developers are using it to write their code because
Right.
it can write it much faster than a developer can type it. In that sense, the developer is
Got you.
actually watching it code, seeing
Mhm.
if it's doing something wrong, and maybe doing some manual coding itself. Now, if you're a
Okay.
developer and you're using these tools and you're still keeping all of your principles correct, that is an amazing tool. Like
Mhm.
developers that learn how to use this, it will double, triple, even quadruple their efficiency.
Mhm.
For people like me that know about product, that know about I can create some cool stuff, uh, but I still can't create like really usable, fully functional backend stuff that's scalable. I give it over to my development team and they're like, this is all bloated AI bullshit. So the simpler the applications are, the more a beginner can jump in. The
Yeah.
moment you get more complex, the harder it is for you to give those instructions over to AI. And you can't guarantee that AI is going to build with best principles. Even with
Yep.
websites, I have to tell it every single time, I want global stylings, just one place to manage how my menu looks. Then I want to create templates, for a website. If this is my list of services and I want a page for each service, I want the services template to have global styling. So if I change something, it's going to change
Yeah.
it throughout.
Yep.
And I know these principles because I was a designer. I don't know how to code. I've never coded anything in my life,
Right.
but I understand how it works.
Yep.
Now, we're in this transition stage. I think 2026 or definitely 2027, AI will do all of that. So the beginner will be able to go end to end and it won't matter. But we're not quite there yet. We're at a stage where you need to know. But I'll give you an example. I've got a friend, he's running a packaging business and he's never coded in his life, but he knows enough about software and how
Mhm.
things should work that he's created like all of his like a custom CRM system that has all of like the packaging logic, AI to make quotes, and it's amazing what he's built. And he did that with Cursor, and he went down that rabbit hole. But he's come back and he's asked my team to just make sure that it's worthwhile code because as he wants to build more and more on top of it, he doesn't want it to be a house of cards where the initial foundations were just crap.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing. And we're seeing certain elements of it that are okay and certain elements of it that need to be changed.
Yep.
For the bits that need to be changed, we'll ask AI to change some of it, and some of it will have to manually change. So it is not as simple as all of these influencers are making out. But can you launch a prototype for something simple quickly? Yes. Can you launch websites without having to use WordPress or Webflow? Yes. Is there real money to be made here? Yes, yes, yes.
Cool. I mean, one of the things that flagged as a risk is, and this is probably sits more with the person number two and the beginner in your three people explanation, is as soon as you kind of get to the point where you're actually working with a personal data, for example, like you want to make sure because you like data protection, basically. I think what I'm
Yeah,
coming to is like you want to, if you don't understand what code is there and what protections are in place, like there's a risk there that that could be really easy for, to be hacked, for data to be lost, that kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
And so there was that kind of flag of, yeah, if you're doing it and that's what's flowing through, then get someone who's with the experience that can put those risk protections in place. Is that what you do?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Even if you think about, well, let me, the easiest way to summarize how I've used it so this is for anyone that is not a developer and where I've had success. First off, you can create the most beautiful websites um, that just way, way better than like WordPress. And you can do that. I created my last one for a client in 8 hours and it's deep. I used Cursor. I created a load of different agents. I had a content agent. I had an SEO agent. I had a front end web developer agent, an architect, all of these different agents. And I started running them simultaneously,
Hmm.
create the strategy, create the content, create the templates, and then start actually creating the pages. When you're methodical like that and you go step by step, the things that you can do with websites are incredible. And if you
Mhm.
link this with tools like 21st Century Dev, where you can actually look for React components and copy the prompts directly into Cursor, like, yeah, no web developer can do as well and as quickly as what you can do with these tools. So
Got you.
that's a sure thing. You want to make money, just like you said, go find people with crap websites oh, wow, there's an amazing video I saw recently, and what they did is they prototyped the homepage for people. That would have taken probably about 30 minutes, and
Okay.
then there was a button that says view the proposal. So they were finding people with bad websites. They were creating a homepage concept, sometimes even deeper, with a
Mhm.
button to view the proposal that was all built in,
Mhm.
so they could see it and then go to the proposal and purchase straight out. That incredible idea.
Yeah, awesome. So wait, you mentioned there a little while ago, it's not as easy as the influencers are making out. So, we love to do this, but could you state some of the very what you're seeing out there that the influencer BS? What is it that they're hyping up around vibe coding? What should people avoid thinking if they're starting
Well,
to think about using it?
so you got to think about the other scenarios, right? So we talked about website. Then when
Yep.
you're talking about SaaS or applications, you've kind of got two areas that you can really effectively use vibe coding. One is prototypes. So you can very quickly launch a prototype for like a beta group so that you
Mhm.
can test to see whether people actually want to use it, or if you're going to push through to investors.
Mhm.
I would not go further with the current situation, further than like a beta group. Maybe you can make a little bit of money and get some pre-sellers on. But at that point, you talked about security, talked about risk. To take it truly to the market, I would have
Yeah.
proper developers look over it.
Mhm.
The second thing that you can do, like that I do personally, is I create front end concepts that I then give to my development team to fully scope out and build the back end. So this,
Mhm.
to me, is like the alternative to doing graphic design in Figma. So coming to your question, where do I think the bullshit is? For the average person, I think it's actually impossible to make a fully fledged, highly functioning SaaS, take it to market on your own.
Mm.
There will be some individuals that just have that knack for understanding this stuff without any coding experience. They could jump in, go down the rabbit hole, and actually learn it through YouTube. Yeah, that's right. But they're probably 1%. The 99% of us, myself included, will not be able to understand all of the principles of proper software development to create something that's robust and safe enough to actually take to market and let that scale. They will have to get developers in. That's where the bullshit is. They need developers. Developers are still needed as of
Yeah.
2025 coming into 2026, or depending when this is published, because it might be 2026 by now, like it is needed.
Interesting. So is there like a specific niche or market that you think vibe coding right now is an unfair advantage that you would
Yeah.
point
Website
people in the direction?
development. Yeah. As already said here.
Yeah, okay. So picking out people's landing pages and
Full websites. Just the incredible depth that you can go with an army of agents working out of Cursor using Claude Code to
mm,
build SEO strategies and like you create a template for services, then you can in seconds you can have 5 services that work with your tone of voice. You could have 5 benefit pages. You could have glossaries and top tens and comparisons using the web search. Like you can the era of like just having 5 pages on your website because that's all you can afford or that's all you can be bothered to create content wise is gone. Like, now every website should have 50, 60, 100 pages deep, all SEO optimized,
mhm,
all showing you as the authority. For SEO, one of the things that Google released a long time ago is like EEAT. And it's all about authority. And so it's about every author of a page, like especially a blog page, needs to have linkage. So if I'm doing a blog page on my website, you go to me, and it's like, okay, here's my recent blogs. Here's podcasts that I've attended or events that I've been a speaker of. Here's links to my YouTube. Here's my feed on X. Suddenly, it's painting me as the picture of being this authority, and that's what
mhm,
Google sees, and more to the point, that's what ChatGPT and Perplexity and Gemini see. That's what
mhm.
gets you up on the rankings on SEO and GEO.
Yeah, okay. A couple of questions there. So you mentioned earlier about AI bloating the code.
Mm.
Immediately I thought about how that's we're seeing that already, like with content, and
Yes.
specifically like long form written content. And then you
Yes.
mentioned, it's becoming more able for people to have deep websites with 50, 60 pages with lots of content on it. So
Yes.
there I can see there can be an opportunity, but also a huge pitfall in terms of like, what is it
Yes.
that you're actually putting onto those pages? What can you say for someone that's going to do that? What is the best advice in terms of doing that properly to get good rankings, and at the end, if you can just touch a little bit upon how do you train AI like Claude, ChatGPT to actually pull data from your site? Like, how do you do that? They call it AI searchability or visibility. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. We'll go a bit into GEO, generative search optimization. Okay, let's start with the first question. If you're going to be a beginner, how would I go about this? If you're looking to do this as a bit of a hobby, I would suggest you find a framework. So there's lots of great YouTubers out there that actually know what they're talking about and are trying to provide value. On the software side, there's a framework that I took and I used this as inspiration to create my own framework. That was called BMAD, and the BMAD method.
Hmm.
Really great because it actually teaches somebody without product experience. It gives you all of these different agents. Like, okay, you have to do the BA work to understand the business requirements, to understand your target ICP. Then you need to build out user stories. So it gives the AI all of this context, and every agent is pre-prompted. Now, if you're going to go to the next stage, you actually really want to make money with this. Let's say you want to do the website stuff, then I would highly recommend you do what I did, and create your own framework. So now I have a framework for website creation I just called it Aetherflow. And it's got all of these different agents that are pre-prompted to do what I believe to be the best practices for creating content, for
Hmm.
creating a website. So I pre-prompt them to use global stylings. I pre-prompt them to use my tone of voice, to create strategy docs before you jump in and create the website pages. And I actually have, of course, an AI orchestration system. So every one of my frameworks has an orchestrator that then sets or creates the prompt handoffs to the other agents.
Hmm. Okay.
And
And then,
this is something that we'll go through in our community. I've been testing a few different frameworks, and I will be releasing them into the community and teaching people how to use them so that they can make money with AI through this means.
awesome. Does this include, what do you say, GEO, generative
Okay,
optimization? Yeah.
so for to show up with ChatGPT and Perplexity, Gemini, and all of those,
Yep.
it's more substantial than just having a good website. So effectively, if you're crap at SEO, you will by definition be crap at GEO, unfortunately. So the first thing you need to do is clean up your website so that it's got all of the right meta title, meta description, on-page SEO. It's all optimized. You're
Hmm.
getting some linkage. It's got a good overall site structure. And
Hmm.
then it's got that authority piece that I mentioned.
Yep.
So that's all of the things you do on your own website. But to show up on ChatGPT, you don't necessarily have to have such a high domain authority as is the case with SEO. Instead, you just need to have multiple corroborating sources, right? And so just everyone who's listening, take this with a grain of salt. This is not my specialty. It's just something that I'm passionate about and that I'm learning about. But you need to show up on other sites like YouTube, like LinkedIn, like other people's high authority sites, like Wikipedia as well. And so it's just going through the process of seeing if you are who you say you are. So
Hmm.
if it sees that you've shown up on like 5 or 6 different high profile podcasts for your industry, for your topic, if it sees that you've got a nice following on YouTube, or you've got some videos that have really good viewership, if it sees that you're active on LinkedIn or you're in Reddit forums, do you know what I mean? Like it's going to say, right, you really know what you're talking about. So then when somebody asks, who's a good sales AI specialist, I'm going to pop up, hopefully.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but the other thing to bear in mind with chat is it's going to take all of your context, right? So ChatGPT knows that you're in the UK, whereas I'm here in Sydney, Australia. It's not going to position me as the person you should talk to,
Hmm.
right? Unless I've somehow got a load of clients in the UK, right? And then the final thing is where we're getting to with AI search is everything that you talk about is going to be keyworded. So if you've got a few keywords that relate to your ICP, you not only need to be adding them to your website, you need to be talking about them in your videos, in your podcasts, in your LinkedIn posts, because all of that is going together. And you need to be talking about who you're helping and why all throughout your website, because that's the context part. So if I'm a person in Sydney, and let's say I'm a marketing agency, and I'm looking for somebody to help me and my clients automatically respond to ad responses. You know, if I have that in my website, that's my persona, that's who I help, and you see that repeated, I talk about it on my LinkedIn, it's got the correct keywords, then context-wise, I'm going to be the one that pops up when that marketing agency says, who do I call for AI help?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. So this is aimed at, I mean, the crux of like the info that you're sharing is someone who is like getting into this with some level of experience and can learn a lot from what's already out there.
We're talking about back to vibe coding now, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm completely lost. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, sorry, let's go back. Generative engine optimization. Okay.
That was a subtopic. Do you want to just
Pardon?
pause for a second? Pause. Generative search has nothing to do with vibe coding, right?
No.
So you just asked me a question and I just went off on a tangent.
Well, it came from you were
Yeah, no, but we want to now loop it back around to vibe coding because that's what we were talking about. So maybe go cool, interesting. So back to vibe coding. Is there like something like? Is there anything else you want to talk about? How it's changing or how people can leverage it? Something like that.
okay. Cool. All right. So great. Back to vibe coding. What do you think is then what do you think the future holds for those well, what do you think the future holds for vibe coding and how can people like I don't know, what's my question? The question I want to ask is I don't know. I don't know. What was it that you said?
Uh, okay, let's go back to vibe
How can
coding.
people leverage it? Well, we've already answered that, right?
Well, maybe just say, is there anything else that you want to make a point of about?
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So back to vibe coding. Is there anything else that you think we've missed that you want to kind of highlight that would be useful for someone to know about vibe coding?
Yeah, actually. So I believe that in the next year or so, vibe coding is going to change how SaaS businesses are run and it's going to destroy some existing SaaS platforms for sure.
Right.
Why? Well, first off, why would I pay $100 a month if I can actually go and vibe code exactly what I want? You know, this is
Mm-hmm.
the big issue with SaaS for years and years, CRM systems in particular, where we specialize. It's like they never quite look or feel the way that you want them to. They never quite have the fields or the inputs that you need. So just like my friend in the packaging business, why wouldn't I go and tell AI exactly what I want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's kind of number one. Number two is so that's going to destroy SaaS businesses, right? So some of them, those niche ones, like there's a LinkedIn app which I think is really really cool called Condo. It's your inbox management system. Like I rebuilt that for myself in 10 days and I implemented it with the AI that links to my NA10. And now, just for me personally, I've got a much better version than what Condo can do for me. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's not SaaS. I'm not going to sell it off to people. I am using it within my business to amplify my clients that use LinkedIn, that follow my methodology. And so we're talking about like micro SaaS being created, or
Mm-hmm.
even just like software that isn't sold as SaaS, that is sold in conjunction with services. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like productizing services on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we seeing? A trend from big SaaS like Salesforce to implement AI as quickly as they can. We've talked about it before. The best of this is Notion. What they've implemented in their second version, their AI agent, is incredible. Like it actually helps you do everything in Notion better. Create databases, analyze information, use it as knowledge base. It's making Notion have a unique user experience. And this is my thesis for SaaS. In the next year or two, we're going to see the ones that survive are the ones that allow AI to completely customize the user experience. So we can come into something like Salesforce and it's got some core functionality that remains the same, but I can say, I want it to look and feel like this. So your Salesforce and my Salesforce will look completely different. It's going to absolutely change the game.
Wow, exciting. So given that you said that in the next year or so, that's what's going to be what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is the next iteration or next frontier after vibe coding? Is there something that comes after?
I think it's just fully integrated vibe coding. Right now, we've got vibe coding platforms that are outside of SaaS. So
Right.
now if you can imagine that I can go into a SaaS and literally vibe code somebody else's SaaS to make it work the way I want it to work.
Yeah,
So
okay.
all of the integrations, all of the data points will remain the same. But yeah, I think that's the next. And I think what's really pertinent here for anyone that's stayed with all of this technical jargon, it's been a bit of a heavier episode, but if you really want to make money with vibe coding, my suggestion is actually not for you to launch a SaaS, because I'm concerned that the more that this becomes readily available, SaaS isn't going to survive. A lot of SaaS isn't going to survive. But what you can do is what I just mentioned just a second ago, which is you can create a service, a coaching business, a done for you agency, some sort of service where you add software so easily to that. You add a client dashboard, you add tools and technology so that your service becomes way more valuable. It becomes more sticky. It's not something that you open up to everyone, but it becomes a point of differentiation. Use my service and you'll get access to this software only for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge.
Great. Well, it seems like a good place to leave it. If you were to give someone a next step, what would you do after hearing this episode? Where would you send them?
I would say from what we said at the start, go jump into Lovable, come to our school community, grab my GBT so it's easier for you, and just try it out. Download Cursor if you want to get a bit more technical and Claude code. Yeah, just jump in.
Awesome. Yeah, and do something with it. When you jump into the community, reach out to us, DM us, let us know, introduce yourself to the community. We're here to help you as you kind of navigate your journey through AI and looking to become your AI authority in your niche. So we're here and we look forward to hearing from you.
100%. All right, so we'll see you next time.
Yep, we'll see you up in the AI.